start. So, hi, I'm Maggie Knapp, and I'm the Director of Training for the Rochester region and in Western New York. And this is Nita Everton. Nita, you want to introduce yourself?
And yeah, I'm Nita Everton. I am the Director of Education for the Southeast region, which is Virginia and Northeastern North Carolina. So in advance, I apologize for the Southern drawl that's going to slip in every now and then.
I personally enjoy it. And to all of you who are on the call, welcome and thank you for joining us today. This is our first time with the admin portal, so we're limping along learning things. If you need something, put it in the chat as a friendly thing. If you have a question, put it in the Q&A. That way we can keep track of it and answer those questions on Friday when we'll be back with you. So I hope that sets that straight for everybody. So today we're talking about open to close. So the first thing you need to know is about open to close is what it is and how it works. So open to close, can you see my supplemental documents, and can you see my share? Thank you, Nita.
Yep. Mm-hmm.
So the first thing you need to know about open to close, if you don't already, is it is used at open houses or events, can be used at a broker's open, a regular open house, and can be used to track visitors who come in even at showings, which a lot of agents aren't using. Open to close is a great tool that helps capture emails, names, and information about the type of house they're looking for, feeds into Real Scout, and that feeds into Engage. So it's a very useful part of a multi-piece puzzle to help grow agents' businesses. So with that, how do people get into open to close? So I'm going to go to GoHannah.com. Nita, can you see GoHannah, or do I need to share that? You can see it. Okay.
You're fine. I can see it.
All right. So there's two ways to get into it. You can go through the open to close here. I don't know if this looks the same on the agent app. So if it doesn't, you can also go in through open to close through here. So if your agent dashboard doesn't show it on a main screen, there is under the agent tools, there is open to close. When they first sign in, they will use their Howard Hanna email, and they will sign in with their Howard Hanna email and password, and then it'll be with Sso Partners. Once they've signed in and saved it, it'll just automatically log them in. When they do get in, you will have, when you first get in, if you don't have a listing, there'll be a dummy listing for you to practice with. So this is a listing that I have right now. I hardly ever have listings. I happen to have one now because it was if you don't take the listing, I'm giving it to a competing company. So I took the listing and co-listed it with somebody in my office. Anyhow, once we're in here, we would need to, if we wanted to add a property.
Maggie?
Yes, ma'am.
We had a question. What is Sso Partners?
SSO is, I think, I'm trying to remember what it stands for. It says Spacio Partner, so like Howard Hanna. It's not the agent themselves. They're part of our company of Howard Hanna. So the SSO Partner is that they are part of the Howard Hanna family, which has given them a special, open and close is special for Howard Hanna. Do you have a better
single
answer?
sign-on, SSO, single sign-on, courtesy of Wendy.
Thank you. She's smarter than I am. That's why there's two of us. Some things I don't even ask questions about. I just use them. That's what they tell me. That's what I do. I have to be honest. So if you want to add a property, we're going to add one here, and we can add a property for several different ways. One, if you have an agent who is doing an open house for another agent, they could simply add an MLS number. And if it's within your brokerage, that number will pop up, should pop up. Oh, I'm in the wrong thing. See, oh, I forgot. There's a little tiny drop-down menu right here. There's a little tiny, very faint arrow. And you can do it by my brokerages listings, by my MLS number, or by address. So I'm going to use the MLS number. And I'm going to choose that one and add. It's not going to give it, it will give it to me again, actually. So it will give you that address. I can then add, if I wanted to, I can add by address if it's within my brokerage listing. If it's not, and I want to add a property that's not an MLS or not in my brokerage, I can come over and add it. I can choose a file picture here, which will just take me to my picture files, and I can add a picture of a house, and then I could just fill in the address. At that point, I will have to fill in all the information. So if an agent has, and this is where it comes in most handy, is like I find it first. So it hasn't gone into the MLS yet. So they can add one here manually, and they can put in the picture, and they can put in the address. They can fill out the price, and they can fill out the size in square feet, or they can change that to square meters, but we use square feet here. So we could say 2,000 square feet. We can say 4 beds, 2 baths, and then I would have my description, whatever my MLS might say. Yes.
Maggie, your audio is stronger when you're facing forward. So
Okay.
I realize you're looking at a screen to the side because you've got multiple monitors.
I do.
You can, when you're talking to us, if you can look more straight ahead, that would be great. There was one other question here. Can the admin staff add information by MLS number, or is this something that they would not necessarily have access to?
They should be able to add it with the MLS number. Yeah. So if you have an MLS number, you can just add it from here.
I think they have to log in under the agent, though, in order to be able to do that, correct?
Yes. Yeah. Yeah, because you have to have access to an MLS.
Right.
You have to be recognized. So you have to do the imposter thing, which
Right.
You guys all have permission, I assume, to get into your agents. They have to give you that permission to get in, right? So you can add the property 2 ways. You can add it manually, and you can add it from an MLS or an address if it's one of your brokerage's listings. So a lot of times, especially with newer agents, they're going to be adding a property that really is another, maybe senior agents that they're doing the open house for, which is a great way for them to get started, and they can use Open2Close. And that we're not going to talk about the particulars about how agents work that out with the other agent. That's between them and not you. I lost Nita.
I wanted them to focus on you. I just got rid of my face. I'm still here and I'm listening.
See, single sign. Thank you, Wendy. Oh, hi, Wendy. I didn't know you were on here. Okay, so that's how you add a listing. Where do you turn on broker mode? There must be something between that. There is. So what devices can you use? And I want to show you a little trick here. You go to the GoHanna dashboard, and you can see my GoHanna dashboard. Yes, Nita? Okay, I'm going to just type in the word Open2Close and enter. I hope you guys have access to the documents. Can somebody answer whether in the chat whether or not you have access to the documents in GoHanna? Nita, do they have access? Yes, okay. So if you do, you just type in Open2Close, and there's a sheet here, Open2Close benefits. Open2Close frequently asked questions. There's a homework assignment in here, and there's also devices right here, frequently asked question devices. This is a nice little printout that you could save to your desktop right there. And it's going to show you that you can use an iPad or Android tablet, and it even has a couple of suggestions and their prices. These prices are about 2 years old, so they may have changed. But this is a great document and a cheap way to find a lot of good information. That search is good for just about all of our programs. So I really like that. I use it all the time. I'm lost. Where am I? That's the one I want. Okay. So can you add another agent's listing to your Open to Close dashboard? So yes, that's how you use that at a property. You can add one for yourself, or you can add somebody else's property the way I just showed you a second ago. You can add a non-listing manually, and I showed you just how to do that. Where do you turn on broker mode? So when you go into more, you can go to edit sign-in forms. You scroll down and you turn the Brokers Open app on. Did everybody see that? Anybody need me to do that again? Everybody good? All right. If you're not good, let me know in either the yes, please, to see it again. Okay. Hi, Jennifer. Let me show you that. Close. All right. So I'm going to go back. We're going to go to on a property. You go to this little more and you see again a little drop down arrowhead. Click on that and go to edit sign-in form. Once you're on the sign-in form, you're going to scroll down until you see Brokers Open House right here. And it can either say no, you want it to be on if you want it to be in Brokers Open House mode. And when it's in Brokers Open House, it asks a different set of questions. And then you would just save the changes and close. So let me show you what it would look like. So if I started this event, let's say start, I have several choices now. We used to only just have an open house. Now we have an open house, a virtual house, open house invitation, a virtual tour request, and a private event. So we're going to say start. This is the Brokers Open form, which is different from an open house. It says, do you have a client in mind? How well priced is the property? And please provide some additional feedback. If you had an agent who wanted to ask different questions, they could start a different event and set it up and ask all the questions they want that may be specific to them. To get out of this, don't use the back arrow because that takes you to a weird place. Come down here to this little X and click the X, and it's going to ask you to end, pause, or cancel. So we're going to end it. So if I go back to the sign-in form and I want it to be a regular open house, I would just scroll down, turn off the Brokers Open, and save, because I wanted to say no, close, and then open the event. And that'll only be right if I did it in the right one, because now I have two of those listings. Yeah, see, I forgot. I went to the wrong one. Okay, let me get rid of this other one. So it must have been here. So let's go here.
You've got to speak more forward.
Okay, sorry. I keep forgetting.
It almost sounds like muttering sometimes.
I'm so sorry. All right, so the Brokers Open House, we wanted to say no. We're going to close, start the event, start, and now that will bring me back to my regular open house form. So if I want it to be the regular, I want the Brokers Open off. If I want to have a Brokers Open, I need to turn that enable on in the edit sign-in form section. All right. When I'm going to close it, I'm going to come to this little X at the bottom of the black part of the screen and say end. Okay. So then let's see. What else do we have? I'm just trying to make sure I get all of your homework questions in, and then we'll talk about anything else that you need. Where do you edit your email templates? So to edit your email templates, you're going to come to the left-hand side. In all of your programs, Open2Close, Real Scout, and Engage, a lot of the business of how to change things is on the left-hand side. So we're going to go to Settings and Default Forms. So they can have up to 6 questions. The one question they can't change is, how did you hear about the open house? And the reason that is there is so Howard Hanna knows how to spend money to help promote their agents. So that one is on the form, period. The second question I like to have is, are you interested in similar properties? I like to have a question about motivation. At what point in the buying process are you? For agents, it's important to know, are they ready to move? Are they thinking about moving, or are they just looking? And are you working with an agent? I like to ask that question. You do not have to. So if that comes up and somebody says, do I have to ask that? No, they don't. If they ask that question, the agent's information, it will ask for their name and for their email and their contact information, and everything will go to the agent. Unless they say yes to similar properties. If they say yes to similar properties, even if they have an agent, they will get listings through Real Scout. So then I would save the default form. But first I want to make sure my auto email is on, and they need to set a time. It can be anything from, use this little drop down, immediately to 24 hours. I personally don't like immediately because it pings while they're standing next to you, and to me it doesn't look personal. But that's the agent's decision. Some agents use it and they like it. My open houses are generally from 1 to 3, so I pick 2 hours so I'm not interfering with dinner time. So it's up to the agent, but you may want to talk to them about what time their open houses are and what time they would like people to get that message. Mandatory contact information. You can only have one, phone or email. Everything we have goes through email, so it's highly recommended that it be the email. If you're in a large Chinese population in the Rochester area, we have University of Rochester Hospital with a large Chinese population. I would say enable yes. I speak a little Chinese. Everything in China is subtitled, and I get asked this question all the time: are there other languages? No, there's not. The person who wrote this program is Chinese. Right now, Chinese is the only language. And the font size, you want it to be large. The reason you want it large is, I think it may be on their phone. It could be on a small tablet, and in my opinion, it's a very light font. So make it large for people like me who don't see very well, and then save your default form and say okay. Does everybody see how to edit their default form? So this would be the standard questions for the open house. Does anybody need me to go back or go over anything there again? Nita, you see any questions?
Nope, so far so good.
Okie doke.
You were going to go over,
Pardon me?
you were going to cover email template.
Yep. So we're going to close this up, and now we're going to go to email templates. So the email templates, again, are on this left-hand side, email templates. So it's really nice if your agents can customize these a little. You don't want them to be fancy, you want them to be short and sweet, but it's nice if they can be in their voice, the way that they talk. So whatever you do, you don't want to change the part in double brackets, right, like this. And if you need to know what that's inside that double bracket, if you come up to the gray box, what are these double brackets, and you click on it, it will give you an actual description for everything. So what you do want to do is make sure that if you're changing this text, that it makes sense with what's in those brackets. So this would be an address line. This would be the date of the open house. This would be the agent's name and phone number. Rid of that. And then the agent email. So you would want the message to make sense with those brackets. Does that make sense to everybody? Anybody have a question about it? So everything below here is the property description. I wouldn't touch this. Leave that alone. So you can change your email templates, but you can also change them for each and every kind of event. So up here where it says email template, again, there's a very, very faint little drop-down triangle right there. If I click on it, all of these are potential emails that I can change. So I would focus on the open house email, the broker follow-up, and anything to do with the virtual open houses or tours right now, because that's so important in most markets. But the more of these they have written out early on, it's less work later on. So there is one for expecting an offer. There's one for a price reduction, and that's going to be important for something called a broadcast message, which is an easy and convenient way to contact everyone that's come through a house, whether they were an open house visitor or if they've added other showing visitors all at once, which is why it's really important to put all visitors to that location into Open2Close, because it keeps all of them together as a group. So it makes it very easy to contact them in less than 3 minutes. So I'm going to show you how to do that in a minute. So again,
Maggie, I have a question about the ability to print off the Q&A. Is that provided once we get all the Q&As together? Is that provided to the participants?
I don't think so. I think on Friday we get it and we go over those questions.
Okay, all right.
I've never seen it done that way, but I don't know. So we can ask Kate and Natalie if that's something.
Yeah, I'm going to shoot Natalie a text message and double check.
All right. So again, to do different email templates, just come up here to email template and find this very faint little check and click on it, and you get all of these. So is that clear for everybody? There's not, let me know. All right. All right. We did the default forms. Oh, so I'm going to show you something called a QR code. This is really important with COVID-19 because a lot of people don't want to touch your computer right now. Very understandable. So we are, if I was in this event, actually I'm going to show you how to delete an event first because I'm going to get rid of this one because it's confusing me. You would come to more, go to property details, and under property details, I can do two things. I can add a description. I can add private notes like new roof in 2019, new furnace 3 years ago, part of an HOA, whatever I wanted in a private note, or I can delete the property. So that one's gone. All right, so now I'm going to show you how to print the QR code. So to print the QR code, we're going to go to more, edit sign-in form. Where is it? Okay. They moved things on me, so I get confused. Oh, there it is. See, they moved it. It's right here, actually. It's right at the top. So this is called the registration link. I wish they called it the same thing in both places. It would make it easier to find. So the registration link is a QR code. So when I print the instructions, I get this. So it's highly recommended that agents print out 5 or 6 of these, put them in a plastic sleeve, and put them around the house. One on the counter, maybe one on a table nearby, a couple of different places. If you have an iPhone and you take a picture of the QR code, a sign-in form will pop right up. If you, hi Kate, if you take a picture with, I have an Android phone and I have an older Android phone, I have a QR scanner on my phone. If I take a picture of it, sign-in form comes up and I can register. I can also add this in social media. So I can copy this link and put it on Facebook as a pre-registration. I'm just going to show you really quick. And that pre-registration will come up. I actually usually add it to Real Scout. So I use Real Scout, add that to social media, and then add this link to pre-register for the open house at this address. Click here. It's a nice little feature. It's very fast. So you can use the QR code in a number of different ways, and your agents may find it helpful to be able to know how to add it to Facebook. Get out of here. Yes, leave. All right, let me see where we are. And I just showed you how to share it on social media, so I
Okay,
forgot
seller
to do it.
reports. I think you've covered just about everything but the seller report.
Okey doke. So let's go back. Thank you.
Mhm.
Okay, let's close that. And the seller report is here. Seller report. So you are going to have, where am I? Someone's texting me. Where am I? So you'll get a seller report like this for every address that goes in. To share it, you would just push share, copy the link, and I can send it to anyone I want. I can copy that, and the link is copied to the clipboard, and I can just put it in an email. Here's your seller report. I'm trying to think what else. Oh, and there was one more thing, I'm sure. I think I missed one. The broadcast message. So let me just show you that. You go back to my properties. You go to more, broadcast message. Remember, we edited the emails so that we could see what they would look like. So if I wanted to send a message where it says blank message, I would pick, I might have a price reduction. And I might say price reduced $20,000.
Maggie, can we print the seller report?
Yes, I believe we can. I think you just have to right click it and then print. And you
Okay.
can probably print it to a PDF and send it as an email as well.
Right, and then one other question, can it be automatically sent, or is this something that the agent needs to manage themselves?
Kate, can it go automatically? I can't remember. Kate's not on. All right, I thought she was. I could see her. I will find an answer for you, and we will have it for you on Friday. I hope that works. And then we've got, what do we have? So broadcast message, let me go back to that. On your broadcast message, what you're mostly going to want to do would be a price reduction, expecting an offer. So if you know you're getting multiples, you may say, we're expecting several offers. If you'd like to submit an offer, please do so by less than such a time. And the other one is broker's follow-up. So if somebody's come to a broker's open, you may want to send a follow-up. And that's and then once you do that, you can click, if I had 100 visitors, all of their names would be here. And you would just click the people that you wanted to send it to. So if you knew there were people that simply weren't interested anymore or had bought another home, which can happen, you wouldn't click on their names. You would just click on everybody to send the broadcast message. And then the last, yes, go ahead.
So Maggie, would it be something that would be perhaps advantageous in a more of a buyer's market to use the seller report, especially if there's going to be a price adjustment, to send out to buyers who have already come through the property to let them know that there's a change?
More advantageous, yes, but it's always a good idea to let sellers know what you're doing. It's always a good idea for agents to let even the seller in a seller's market. Sometimes a seller thinks the agent hasn't done anything, that the house sold itself. So if you have agents who've had showings, who've had open houses, who've let people in, it's good to show their value. So going forward, they would be more confident in referring them. My agent brought through 100 people and they had all of these showings and they had all of this activity because you have a record of that activity. So it's good to have it in a buyer's market where you're showing what you're doing, and maybe to get that price reduction. We've had all these people, we didn't get an offer. It's also important in a seller's market because sellers think we sell too fast.
Mm-hmm.
And so then we didn't do our job. So it can be advantageous to the agent in either market. in any market. And then the last thing we have is offline mode. So offline mode is, and there's a great little tutorial video on this. Let me show you where that is. It's right in here under tutorials, and I'm not going to show you the video. It takes too long. But it is in here under offline mode. So if you click on it here, there's this nice little, I think it's like 3 minutes long video. So this is a great place to go. That's right under the tutorials, right here. The offline mode, to use offline mode, an agent needs to use their iPad tablet or their Android tablet, go into, they have to be where Wi-Fi is. They have to turn on their open house. They recommend that you refresh so all your properties are on there just to make sure everything's updated. And once they've signed in, it'll just automatically re-sign them in. What is this? And then they need to turn off, they need to start their open house, turn off their Wi-Fi, or put it in tablet mode or airplane mode. And the reason is if they're anywhere near a signal, that the tablet will keep looking for Wi-Fi, and you can have a weak signal and you can have a dropped signal or a frozen signal. So when they're off, they don't have that problem. And then when they get back to where they're going, they turn their Android tablet or their iPad tablet back on, and it will sync. And then they can just double check. I would watch the video, the tutorial. It's like 2 to 3 minutes, and it's perfect. It will tell you exactly how to do this.
So Maggie, another question. With the broadcast message, is it going to people who signed into the open house only or to all of your contacts?
It will only go to the people that you click on. So it would go to, so the people that would come up on the broadcast message would be the visitors to that open house, not every contact that you have. And you would only click on the ones that you want it to go to.
And then the QR code, when you post the QR code somewhere and someone scans it, or, you know, does it take them to the open house itself? Does it give them information about the open house?
It does. It gives them all the same information.
Okay.
So what I would recommend is all of you find an address for one of your agents and scan the QR code so you can see what it looks like. Because the best way to know how anything works is to use it yourself.
Okay. Okay, I think we've got it. I don't see any more questions. Anybody else have any questions? And Maggie, we're at 2:38.
It goes really fast, guys.
Thank you all. Thank you all for coming, and we'll see you Friday at 11:30 to do the follow-up. Thank you so much.
Bye, guys.
If anybody, well, that's okay. We had a question about being on YouTube, so that's okay.